minor general language cleanup, a couple of wordings and minor changes made, so nothing significant in section 1. Section 2 on definitions, there are some general cleanup, and I apologize, this is kind of death by PowerPoint because there's no pictures in here, and it's just a lot of words, and anyways, it is what it is. Which is kind of what the design standards and specifications are, is a bunch of words and no.
Don't worry, no matter how boring you get, you won't catch Wes.
Yeah. We talked about clarifying language on what combined water services, what construction water, we further defined what construction water is. Language on fire lines and connector loops, that was a big discussion that we had with Travis there. On actually just naming connector loops was
just to clarify.
something to go through. And then clarifying language on what private water lines are. Section 3, just what we expect out of developers and engineers as they submit improvement plans to us. It clarifies our responsibility on public and actually private fire hydrants. And also clarifies language on pressure regulators in service areas, so there's nothing really significant in section 3. Section 4, again, Travis mentioned that we added parameters for the water modeling requirements in there, which was a really great idea that Travis had on that. Section 5 allows us to, it just clarifies, we had some language in there that allowed us to reject defective materials and things like that, and just added some more weight to our ability to do that. And then on, as you may recall at the last meeting, at least 4 of you may recall, we had one of the public comments was on corrosion control and things like that. Anyways, that last issue talks about ductile iron pipe and making sure that we wrap it to prevent our ductile iron pipe and fittings from corroding as quickly as we've seen it over the years. Section 6 is where a lot of the changes started coming into, and also goes into cleaning up these standard drawings because they reference each other. Minimum pipe diameter in our system is 8 inches. We won't allow any common trench with any other utilities, and the reason we have that is there are several areas in town where we have our pipe, and buried right next to the pipe is a communication. I mean, we're talking like within 2 inches is a communications conduit, and on the other side is a power conduit. So if our guys, we have a leak and our guys are digging in there and they hook one of those other conduits, well, number one, we'll tear up the communications, and number 2, we create electrical shock hazard if we tear through the power line with the water in the trench and things like that. So it's a big safety issue for us to not allow that to happen. Ductile iron pipe class 52 instead of class 50. It's a little thicker wall, so it will last a little bit longer. Again, we're requiring cathodic protection on any pipes, metal pipes that are 24 inches or larger. Right now, our largest pipe in our system is 24 inches, and anyways, that's that main one that comes down out of Lincoln County, and that one does have cathodic protection on it. And then we updated the standards to a thicker walled PVC pipe, which is the DR14 instead of DR18. And then Travis helped us out on the concrete spec in that section. And again, in section 6, we call out a minimum street width, and we were referencing the city of Mesquite's minimum street width for this, for any lines that we're going to accept as part of our system would have to be installed in something similar to that, especially in Bunkerville. They don't have the city of Mesquite standards, but it would have to be something similar to the city of Mesquite standards before we accept any lines to be dedicated to the district for us to take over. We identify location of how far our water main is away from the curb, so we don't end up with pipe underneath sidewalks and curbs or out in the middle of the street. We're trying to minimize our guys being out in the traffic way but still be able to, work on the, and Rob's still here?
Yes.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, Rob. Make sure our guys, don't have to do any concrete work by, if we have any, pipe leaks, it doesn't damage the concrete in the gutter or sidewalk, it just damages asphalt if we do have a problem. Again, we talked about the dead end and connector loop mains, how frequent we have isolation valves in the system. Okay,
I'm about ready to have a power now, but keep going, we're doing good.
like I said, and then, yeah. Location of water mains, and proper depth and location. And, blow-off assemblies, at the end of, construction phases, making sure those are in right. Moving on to section 7, we're 70% of the way done now. Service lateral changes, as you know, we have, we roughly average about 130 service lateral leaks a year. We as the district thought 10 years ago that we had the right poly pipe fix, and we started installing that, and we're starting to see that poly pipe that we started putting in the ground even as early as 5 years ago. We're starting to see that failing and leaking, so we're going to PEX pipe as the replacement pipe for poly. It's about 2.5 times more expensive than poly pipe, but we feel there's enough of a track record, specifically in homes, except for one of the board members' homes didn't have a good experience with it. But we feel that around town that there's been enough history with PEX pipe that with the heat, the hot water we have, the chlorine, and the pressures that we deal with, that should hold out at least a lot longer than 5 to 10 years. And then clarifying language on service lateral locations, and then clarifying language on the meter types, whether it's master metered or individual metered, based on zoning, City of Mesquite and Clark County, to be able to decide what locations those are. Section 8, just a bunch of information on how we install fire hydrants, and then talk about some of our valves and thrilling, exciting stuff, so nothing real exciting there. The brass and bronze components, the second line down, meeting NSF 61 requirements, that's again to make sure that all of our components in the system are lead-free, and we don't end up with a issue similar to what Michigan went through. So that's section 9. We hopefully we're going to remove that tonight and have its own standalone document. Section 10, which will hopefully be the new section 9, just talks about bacteriological sampling once new lines go in, and making sure that the lines are safe before we actually turn them into the system. That's always been the case. This isn't something new that we're doing. This has always been the case. This is just clarifying language in there to meet NDEP's requirements. And then section 11, which is now section 10, again goes in and helps redefine what construction water is, and having contractors have to get approval from HOAs on private fire hydrants before we'll go hang a hydrant meter on a private fire hydrant. So there's been some problems in the past with the HOAs and having those meters hooked up to their fire hydrants, and so we're just adding that language in there that prior approval from the HOA is required before a hydrant meter is installed on a private fire hydrant. And standard drawings, Travis talked about, we went through and changed a whole bunch of Roman numerals to normal numerals, and tied things back together into the specs a lot better. So that's pretty much a summary of the changes to the design standards and specifications. So if there's any questions or concerns, we'd be happy to address them. Ben, if you can grab the mic.
Thank you, Kevin. Well, I'm sure this was very exciting and riveting for Travis. I appreciate the information. Any questions?
It was very exciting.
That's why I was looking around And then Travis is all,
This is my jam right here.
me, I, you know, like to watch an episode of Jack Ryan or The Shooter, but Travis probably goes home and reads this stuff.
Well, I did read it.
It's like 5 times.
It's all good.
But next time for the presentation, maybe a picture of before the i's and t's were dotted and one after would go a long way. And
Well, in here, we can go page by page.
No,
There's
no,
the
no.
red line document that
no, we're good. Thank
shows
you.
all those T's and dots.
Yes,
and-
thank you. And thank you, Travis, for coming in on, for taking your time to be involved in this and helping iron this out.
When was the last time we updated this?
Year and a half ago.
But it wasn't to this magnitude.
No.
The 2016 went through and changed a few, but this was a major overhaul with the PEX pipe, the meters. I mean, it was, this one, they dove into it extensively, and then with the things that I was asking, we should be good for quite a while. So.
At least 5 years.
And just for the record, it was me as far as the PEX pipe, and it's funny, right after we met on that, I had another water line break in my house. And so I've had 3 in the last year on that pipe. So hopefully we don't have that, but it's, I think it's a little bit different type. PEX pipe would come in different classes, so anyway. If there's no other comments, I'm ready to make a motion.
Yeah, Travis got the phase 1 pipe.
Yeah.
They've since redone it, we're on phase 2. Dave.
Yeah, I've got a disappointment though as an engineer. For some reason, you got a security locks on your DSS and drawings, so I can't even look at your specs.
Yeah, I couldn't
Okay.
get on it either.
You can't get to it, so really disappointed that I can't look at all the drawings sitting here as an engineer,
I saw, I could pull them up from last week.
Dave has absolutely,
I will email it to you, Dave.
I'm
Yeah.
just kidding.
No.
I could pull them up because that's what I looked on this morning as far as to when I called you about those.
you know,
but-
Travis, can you, maybe in the next day or 2, go to Dave's house?
Yeah, come on over, come on over to my office, we can have a coffee over the
Yeah,
drawings.
yeah,
There you go.
we'll
A
go.
lot of coffee.
Yeah.
We'll have a good
Yeah.
discussion on these and burn 4 hours.
I'll drop off some donuts and treats,
Yeah,
I
there
won't
you go.
stay, but I'll make sure you guys are well situated.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Travis.
All right, let me get back to
These guys got it just now.
I just pulled them down.
I can't, it says a lot.
Mine does the same thing, watch.
If you download the entire packet, the whole PDF,
Okay.
I believe you can find them that way.
Okay, that's fine, but I just wanna let you
You were
know.
clicking on the individual link, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you can get them in a packet.
Yeah, no,
I could get one of them out, but the summary presentation comes up, but the memo and the drawings don't.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion for item number 6, consideration to approve amended and updated design standards and specifications, DSS, and to ratify the action to remove the cross connection and backflow policy, the CCBP, from the DSS so that the CCBP will no longer be contained within the DSS, but will stand as its own policy. With the changes that we talked about on the standard drawings, I just wanted to make sure that.
You
So you're
just make
moving
those
to-
acronyms.
Well, I've been
You gotta
practicing
remove
since you read it.
Yeah, thank you.
Travis, you're moving to approve the new design standards with the changes and to remove the backflow policy, correct? That's what you're,
Yeah, just exactly as this is
Okay.
wrote up, item number 6. Is that not what that's?
Yeah, you read consideration.
you just said consider it, like,
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah,
no, you're good.
to approve.
To approve.
Yeah.
He was busy
A
making sure he got the
motion
acronyms right.
Right.
Okay, we have a motion on the table?
I'll second it with an acronym of okay, sounds good.
Sounds good. OSG.
Oh, the K, the O and the K.
All right, we have the first and second, all in favor, and the motion carries. Wes, you're up.
Okay, you have my written report. The one thing that I would like to add that's not included is we received just yesterday the draft audit report. And we got a review of that. that, and I will tell you that, and that will be presented on the first meeting in October, as normal. And the audit, is a clean audit. So we're not expecting any, no issues that are significant or concerning.
Okay.
So.
Thank you, Wes. Any questions for Wes? Aaron?
Okay, for those that travel on Oasis Boulevard, we have to know that tomorrow, we should have the paving or the patch repaired tomorrow. The contractor should start that first thing in the morning. And then 127A is progressing well. Tomorrow morning also, we will go and draw samples from that well and submit them to the Nevada Certified Lab. And then, once we get the results back, send that to the state for their review, and with their approval, we will be able to start using that well. Even though the whole facility's not completed, but the pump and things of that nature are.
How long is it gonna take for the state to get back, you think?
So the lab, once we submit it, they usually take a couple of weeks. We're having to do every constituent in the Safe Drinking Water Act. Well, it's over 130 different constituents, so it takes some time. Then the state should be fairly quick. They do require that you send a hard copy, so we'll have to mail it in to the or something like that. Usually they're pretty good about getting back to that. That's the final step, the approval. Any other questions?
Thank you, Aaron. Kevin?
Yeah, one thing I wanna follow up on Aaron on the Oasis patch. Travis asked about if we could have used our asphalt patch, our overall asphalt patch contractor on that, and I told him to look into the price on that. Looking at when we bid it out and looking at what our asphalt patch contract was, I think we were like within $700 of each other on that. So it would've been really close if we would've done that. Then I went back to our last patch out on West Pioneer Boulevard, that we had a failure a year and a half ago on, and that was a much bigger patch, and when I looked at the cost difference between what we bid out and our annual patch contractor, J&J, J&J's price would have been double what the bid out price was, so I think J&J annual patch contract works really well on these relatively small ones, but when you start getting the bigger ones, it becomes very costly for us, so. You got a written report from me. I'm not gonna add anything to the report verbally. I do want to report, since I did get a chance to put it in the report, from the, since the board packet got put in and this happened after that, we received word that the funds from Jordan Kochi on the house property that the district was gonna pick up as part of the settlement in that effort, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but Metro Police did report that they received the money from Jordan Kochi in that in the amount of $280,000 in that range. So as soon as some of these other legal issues get cleared up with that, then the district will be able to claim that $280,000. So Bo, if you wanna clarify any of that for me.
I would just add that that was part of the forfeiture action, and the board already approved that agreement whereby the district agreed to accept cash in lieu of the house. So, other than that, that's the update, unless there's specific questions you guys have.
Not about debt, any update on the pool pack money?
The check
Yes.
is in the mail.
And I've seen a copy of the check. It's for
Okay.
$602,000. It should arrive any day. It's being sent directly there to the district's office.
602,
662.
11,600.
A little bit of a refund on the $5,000 deposit we put down for hard costs. They didn't utilize all of that, so we're getting some of that back.
Yeah, so it's $900,000. The district keeps 2/3 of that, plus we get another $2,000 for the reason that West just articulated.
Total popping expenses were done in Nevada, the state plus the money.
That's all I have.
Right. Okay, thank you, Kevin. We'll go ahead and open this up for one final comment. Just a reminder, state your name and please keep it under 3 minutes.
Mike McGreer, keep it under 2 seconds. You might, when the board goes back and reads the details of this case study on the Walker thing, you might want to consider what a sovereign means. I think that Mineral County is claiming that as a sovereign, they can take water. And if that was approved, that sovereign would take the water and then they would compensate for it. So I would assume that under that doctrine, you would be a sovereign. So you might want to consider what it really means under this public trust thing, how you define a sovereign, whether you're a sovereign, and whether in fact you could take water and then have to compensate for it. It's conceivable that if you did take water, for example, from the Virgin River from shareholders, you could pay less. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Any other comments?
Annie Black, I have a question. Do you know anything about the discolored water at the middle school? Have you heard anything about that?
Just the letter that was sent out from the middle school, unless.
No, you didn't. I don't know if you guys were part of the testing or if there was anything going on with that.
Coming from the school district.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Just wondering.
I asked Mike, I have a kid in junior high and he just said the water in the science room started turning discolored.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, so,
Well,
we're,
But it's essentially, it's an internal problem for the school,
Yeah.
not necessarily a water district issue where there's
Yeah, it's
water that's discolored is coming out our pipes, it's getting into their system inside internally, and so.
I just wondered if it was a larger problem or just isolated to their pipes. That was the general.
That would might explain my kids' bad test scores. I'm going with that one.
Good.
I'm pretty sure we know that's not it, Rich.
any other comments at this time? Okay, thank you all for coming and we'll see you guys next time.